Yo guys, and welcome to this week's track guide. It's a bit of a special one. We are at Oulton Park in Britain, and of course, like who is wondering, even it's wet. So as the upcoming midweek league race, the I think penultimate race of the season is gonna be wet, most likely. I thought would do the best thing with doing that guide in the wet. I can already tell you the lap is not optimized and is more made to rather give an impression of how to drive it, but is not the way you drive it the most risky and therefore the most quickest. So that definitely is like a second or even more to gain, but that would be really risky, and therefore I think it is a good idea to show you a rather safe lap that touches the points you need to have a look at in the wet better. So Oulton Park is an incredibly hard track to drive, especially in the wet, and even more especially nighttime. So we will already start with turn 1. We brake at the one board that is there. Down to third. And out. Means we... Oh, cool flame, dang it. We wait until the barrier on the left has that orange kink. There we start to steer. Don't take a lot of that curb and not the grass, and then we get out. Approaching the next corner in 4th gear, we shift down to 3rd and take a little wider line to hit the throttle earlier and to stick it to the inside as good as possible. As well as possible. Any sort of that. Means we approach the corner in 3rd. And then try to keep it nice and tidy, but also quite wide to get the most possible grip out of the track. That corner is probably the hardest of the track, and if you don't want to score a goal through that very specific pass here, you probably want to not hit that grass on the inside, but you want to at least tangle that curb, but you don't need to, in 4th gear, and then send it out. Brake again where the barrier ends on the left. See here, we have that runoff, like the way to pass through with that high grass, whatever it's doing there. And then we brake down to 2nd gear. Overshoot the apex a little bit because it's a double apex corner, means we get out a little further and then send it out without hitting that curb, please. If you don't take a wider line and hit the throttle, you will understeer out. That's pretty much given, especially with the beautiful Honda. That is a really good looking car, but I thought for a wet track guide it's a really cool idea to use that exotic car for once. And then you can send it out of the corner without understeer. The next corner is incredibly tricky with some cars as well. With the Honda, I just know you can go over that curb. With most cars you can. With the Aston Martin you should be a little more careful, I think. Also with the Ferrari, but I'm not sure. You need to test that for yourself, by yourself, whatever. And then... Oh, that flames are beautiful. We get over that curb on the left and send it out. I sadly hit the dirt on the right and bounced a little. That is not wanted, but yeah, sometimes not avoidable in that tricky conditions. For the next turn we brake at the board. I think it's 80 feet or something, but I don't know, just use that board or the Marshall post for braking. It seems like you're overshooting. I can show you from that perspective. It will seem like you're overshooting all the time. But you do it. Like, it feels like you have understeer and go on the grass, but then you slow down more than you think, because I think the track is a little off cambered there. And then you can just swing it around the corner. Don't take too much of that curb, it will make you bounce. But moving on, you can take this, even though it might be a little slippery. Slippery is a good word. The track was incredibly slippery. Like, extremely cold temperatures and not too little rain is not a good combination if you want to have a lot of grip, so it looks a bit rapid. For the next corner, we go as far to the left as possible with the angle we have from here, so I try to get to the left as well as possible. And then we take that, we tangle it a little at least, get out to the left and send it out. That corner is pretty self-explanatory. Brake somewhere, but not too much. And then send it. Sick drift also. Not really avoidable in that weather conditions. Next corner, we brake between the two Sunoco shields. Shields? Or would it rather be signs? I don't know. Yeah, steer at the Oulton Park sign. That is pretty sure not a shield, but then we have not a lot of turn actually, so the corner is really long, and therefore you are not wanting understeer. Means don't steer too much, but also don't throttle in between that two kings. Like, don't break down completely, drive around, throttle, and then lift off. No, we need a motion. Pretty much look at it, like it's building up a little over the run of that turn, so that's what we need. And now for the last turn, we brake a little before that arrow, go down to second gear. I got a little slip here, that was unlucky, but that was fine. And then you can just floor it out over that bump, and that's fine. And that's a lap around wet Oulton Park. It was a 38.9, but that is not saying a lot, because even if it's a little more wet, it can be a 42 or something and it's still a good lap. Like, you can't compare it in the wet, sadly. But now we will get to the hot lap.